Hey there, comic friends, I'm Travis. This is another edition of No Capes, where I talk about comic books that don't have to do with superheroes and or Ethan doesn't read them or doesn't review them along with me. So, this is comics for the third week of January. That's January 22nd, 2014. In no particular order, let's talk about some non-superhero books. Dead Body Road, issue number 2. Kind of more of the same. Not a bad comic, just not necessarily my kind of a thing. I don't mind consuming this kind of a story in a movie version on Netflix or whatever, but not something I particularly seek out that, oh my gosh, this is what I want to read. Wasn't sure what the book's going to be about. This issue, we have somewhere around. We meet up with the wife of the guy who saw this stuff happen. He obviously passed some information on to her. The bad guys are out to get her. Our quote-unquote semi-good guy is trying to get a hold of her too because he knows that she's kind of the link to all of these guys. And so it's a giant, one person pulling guns on another person, pulling guns on another person, pulling guns on another person, as they all attempt to shoot or not shoot each other to get the leverage they need to either quash all this information and make it all disappear, or in the case of our supposedly good guy, get the information he needs to put leverage on the real bad guys so he can damn well kill everybody that had anything to do with killing his wife/girlfriend. Is basically where we're at. Not a horrible read, just not my style of thing. So there we go. Next up, Pretty Deadly, issue number, secret hidden number, 3? 4. 4, way down in the corner. 4. I'm still really liking this book. Why I like this book, I love the atmosphere of the book between it being set in the West and having this kind of, also this kind of lingering mythical sense to it. It has the same kind of style in some ways as like Sandman does and whatnot. You've got your normal stuff that's operating, and then you have this kind of fringe thing that looks a little and feels a little different. I like that as far as that type of a setting and feel of the book. I like the folk taleness of how things are told within the story. Stories are told within the story, within the things. Some of the characters in here feel very folk tale-like. This character's name is Coyote. He's got more name than that, but probably his name is Coyote. We see some interesting reflections of him and this Raven that is his friend. Those are interesting characters that we're now going to see more of. They kind of started some of this chain of events of disaster that's happening. Not sure exactly what their motivation is. He feels kind of like Coyote, like the Native American version of Coyote, who's kind of a trickster. So I think that he's interesting. And of course, we have this girl this young woman who we found out other things about. Her two-toned eyes, her wearing this vulture cloak that I think is just absolutely fabulous as far as a cool look and feel goes. Her history and what she represents and potentially what she's going to do in the future is pretty significant, and what they're attempting to do in the process of that is interesting. There's a great fight scene through here with Jenny trying to deal with Fox, who is kind of the culprit behind a lot of this stuff, and what he's willing to pay amends for and what he isn't is interesting. I just really like the book. It has the stuff going on it that I'm finding enjoyable because it's different from everything else that's out there, and I'm digging it for that. And the art is, of course, exceptional. Reyes and Bellari, their coloring and the artwork of this thing is just top notch. Their craftsmanship really comes through. Maybe that's the bigger reason I'm reading the book than the writing itself. But I like that too. I'm very, very interested in the ideas that are being portrayed here and stuff. So still really enjoying that book. The Massive, issue number 19. Callum is kind of, I don't know if going off the deep end's the right word for it, but he is on the hunt. The ship gets bombed. and obviously he's going to take action on that. He's basically gone back to full-blown mercenary. He's hitting some of his old drop sites back when he worked with the mercenaries, gathering up arms. He's going after this particular individual who he knows is messing with him, because in the last issue, of course, our whale hunter had told Callum that this guy had come to him, and they had talked about stuff and whatnot. So he's seeking them out. Mag has kind of found him and is tagging along. They're going to do this together, and in reality, Callum sets Mag up, sends Mag off on a wild goose chase, and Mag's going to be in serious trouble because he is basically kind of a wanted criminal in a lot of countries, and so he's in trouble because the armed forces have basically caught up to him, and Callum is struck off on his own to basically execute this other guy who's been screwing with him since his days when he was in the mercenary camp. Still really like the story. It's complex. It's different enough from the other stories that are out there that are being told. You know, it's using comic books that tell me a completely different type of a novel type story, and enjoying it. Next up is Bedlam. I'm not sure if this is the end of the arc, and this is... Boy, they really hide these. This is issue 11. Hide the numbers on these image books. So this was interesting. I enjoyed it. I liked the outcome. I liked the conversation with our main character, the pressure he's put under to try and make him crack, to try and make him move back to being Matter Red. I enjoyed all of that. That's interesting. The ultimate end, the bad guy seems to be taken care of, but we get this sense that there's a whole bunch of stuff in motion, and it does not matter that we've taken up this bad guy. There's all this other stuff moving. And I think this is the end of the arc, which makes this end of this arc like every other end of every arc that's been for Bedlam, in the sense that they think they've taken care of the bad guy, they arrest him, they kill them, whatever it is that they have to do, and then we always get this final page or two that lets us know, no, there's a ton more angels out there of death just waiting to be let loose, you know, or whatever the case may be, that there's these things that are in place. So as much as they feel like they've succeeded in some way, they haven't succeeded in any way. Story-wise, I'm still really interested in this. I'm interested in the dynamics there. I really am struggling more and more with the art. I do not care for Ryan Brown's style of artwork in this book. The only way I can describe it is it's just super, super muddy. There is no line work. It's just layers upon layers of stuff, and I don't care for it. So yeah, I don't know. That's starting to take away from my enjoyment of the story. Also, because of the way this ended, if this is the end of the arc, it ended, like I said, like the other ones did with this, oh, you fixed it, but you didn't fix it, which is an interesting idea. And the only thing that's holding me on now is, at some point, is this going to mean something bigger? Is there something more about Bedlam that we need to know that we're going to find out at some point? And I just have to decide, is it worth the return of the struggle through the art that I'm not enjoying to get what that more story than Nick Spencer might be trying to tell us there is. So there's that one, Bedlam. Finally, Deadly Class, issue number 1, Rick Remender and Wes Craig on art. Great storytelling in here. I love the panel work. I'm really curious. I'd love to be able to talk to these two guys and find out who it is that made the decision to make some of these little panels, to make action and motion move really fast through the page in places and whatnot. Thought that was really great storytelling as far as just the artistic end of it. I like the introduction to this character at the beginning. We get kind of a year-long or 9 months worth of his life, basically getting a projection of an understanding of just how bad this guy's got it. You know, him living on the street, what does that entail? How crappy is that? That's pretty tough. And then towards the end, things just kind of get crazy. We get exposed to this other kind of underworld that's there, and this great-looking underworld under San Francisco. There's yet another. There's at least a university underneath this, underneath San Francisco. So I find that really fascinating. Looking forward to seeing where this goes. I think this gave us a great skeleton of what all the possibilities could be. Now I'm waiting to see the meat get put on the bones so we can see exactly flesh this thing out and maybe have a really cool book. Don't know what I was exactly expecting out of the book. This isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's less Breakfast Club potentially than what I thought it was going to be, but still really cool done the same. Great stuff. Yeah, cool. That's it for this week. I'll be back next week with more books and more fun, because next week's going to be just a crazy week. It's, Saga, Black Science, Revival. It's just going to be an awesome week of books. So, until then, talk to y'all later.